The Indian subcontinent is no stranger to conflict. The partition of British India in 1947 gave birth to two new nations, India and Pakistan. This historic event also sparked one of the most enduring and volatile disputes in the world, the conflict over Kashmir. The Himalayan region of Kashmir, with its breathtaking beauty and strategic importance, became a bone of contention between the two newly formed nations. Both India and Pakistan claimed sovereignty over Kashmir, leading to the first of three wars between the two countries in 1947. The conflict over Kashmir has cast a long shadow over the relationship between India and Pakistan, resulting in two more wars in 1965 and 1971. Despite numerous attempts at finding a peaceful resolution, the Kashmir dispute remains a major flashpoint in South Asia, with the potential to erupt into a full-blown conflict at any moment. The line of control, or low C, serves as a de facto border dividing the disputed territory into Indian-administered Kashmir and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. However, the LOC remains a highly militarized and volatile zone with frequent ceasefire violations and cross-border shelling. The presence of armed groups operating in the region, some with alleged support from Pakistan, further complicates the situation. India accuses Pakistan of using these groups as proxies to wage a low-intensity conflict against India and fuel unrest in Indian-administered Kashmir. Pakistan, on the other hand, denies these allegations and maintains that it provides only moral and diplomatic support to the Kashmiri people's struggle for self-determination. The long-standing dispute over Kashmir is deeply rooted in history, religion, and national identity. For India, Kashmir is an integral part of its secular democracy, while Pakistan views it as an unfinished agenda of partition based on the region's Muslim-majority population. The Kashmiri people themselves are divided, with some advocating for independence while others seek merger with either India or Pakistan. The lack of a political solution and the continued militarization of the region have created a cycle of violence and mistrust, making the Kashmir dispute one of the most intractable conflicts in the world. The recent escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan, marked by a series of military strikes and counter-strikes, has once again brought the Kashmir conflict to the forefront of global attention. The current crisis, the most serious since the 2019 Balakot airstrike, underscores the volatile nature of the dispute and the ever-present risk of a wider conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. On May 7, 2025, India launched a series of missile strikes against targets inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir in what it called Operation Sindoor. According to Indian officials, the strikes targeted terrorist infrastructure and training camps used by groups that India accuses Pakistan of supporting. The strikes, carried out by Indian Air Force fighter jets and ground-based missile systems, marked a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between the two nuclear-armed rivals. Indian officials claimed that the strikes were preemptive in nature, aimed at preventing imminent terrorist attacks on Indian soil. The Indian government cited intelligence reports indicating that terrorist groups were planning major attacks, including targeting religious places and crowded areas. Pakistan, however, vehemently denied the Indian claims, condemning the strikes as an unprovoked act of aggression. Pakistani officials insisted that the strikes caused civilian casualties and damaged civilian infrastructure, rejecting India's assertions of targeting only terrorist facilities. The Pakistani government accused India of using the pretext of fighting terrorism to justify its aggression and destabilize Pakistan. Pakistan vowed to respond forcefully to what it called a blatant violation of its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Indian strikes came amid heightened tensions following a deadly attack on a tourist bus in Indian-administered Kashmir on April 22, 2025. The attack, which claimed the lives of over 24 Hindu pilgrims, sparked outrage in India and led to calls for retaliation against those responsible. India blamed Pakistan-based terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed, or JEM, for the attack, accusing Pakistan of harboring and supporting the group. Pakistan denied any involvement in the attack but condemned the violence. The April 22 attack and the subsequent Indian strikes have pushed India-Pakistan relations to a new low, raising fears of a wider conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. The international community has expressed deep concern over the escalation of tensions, urging both sides to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue to de-escalate the situation. The United States, China, Russia, and other major powers have called upon India and Pakistan to avoid any actions that could further inflame tensions and jeopardize regional peace and stability. The situation on the ground remains tense, with both India and Pakistan mobilizing troops along the line of control, or LOC, and exchanging fire across the de facto border. The risk of further escalation remains high, as both sides appear determined to defend their interests and maintain a tough stance against what they perceive as aggression from the other. In the chaotic aftermath of the Indian missile strikes, conflicting narratives emerged from both sides of the border, making it difficult to ascertain the full extent of the damage and casualties. India maintained that its strikes were precise and targeted only terrorist infrastructure, while Pakistan claimed that civilians were killed and injured. The fog of war, exacerbated by the reluctance of both countries to allow independent observers access to the strike sites, fueled speculation and propaganda. Social media platforms became battlegrounds for information warfare, with each side disseminating images and videos aimed at bolstering their narrative and discrediting the other. Pakistan claimed to have shot down 5 Indian warplanes and captured 2 Indian pilots. India, however, acknowledged the loss of only 1 aircraft and 1 pilot, Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman. Videos of Varthaman, blindfolded and with blood on his face, circulated widely on social media, further inflaming tensions. Pakistan later released Varthaman as a gesture of peace, but the incident underscored the volatility of the situation and the ease with which misunderstandings and miscalculations could lead to a wider conflict. Adding to the confusion, an unidentified aircraft crashed into a school building in Srinagar, the capital of Indian-administered Kashmir. While the cause of the crash remained unclear, the incident heightened anxieties and fueled speculation about possible Pakistani involvement. Both India and Pakistan denied responsibility for the crash, but the incident served as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace in the region. The conflicting narratives and lack of transparency surrounding the events of May 7th highlighted the dangers of escalation in a region already on edge. With both India and Pakistan possessing nuclear weapons, the stakes involved were incredibly high. The international community watched with bated breath, urging both sides to exercise restraint and avoid any actions that could spiral out of control. The escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan sent shockwaves throughout the international community, raising fears of a wider conflict with potentially catastrophic consequences. World leaders scrambled to defuse the situation, urging both sides to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue. The United States, China, Russia, and the European Union all issued statements calling for de-escalation and a peaceful resolution to the crisis. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency meeting to discuss the situation, but failed to agree on a joint statement due to differences between India's allies and Pakistan's supporters. The crisis also highlighted the growing role of social media in shaping perceptions and influencing events. Both India and Pakistan leveraged social media platforms to disseminate their narratives and rally international support. However, the spread of misinformation and disinformation on social media also contributed to the escalation of tensions and hampered efforts to de-escalate the situation. The international community's response to the India-Pakistan crisis underscored the global interconnectedness of the 21st century. A conflict between 2 nuclear-armed states, even a limited one, had the potential to trigger a chain of events with far-reaching consequences. The crisis served as a stark reminder of the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and conflict resolution in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. As the dust settled on the initial days of the crisis, the international community faced the daunting task of facilitating a de-escalation and preventing a recurrence of violence. The road ahead remained fraught with challenges, but the shared interest in avoiding a catastrophic conflict offered a glimmer of hope.